Are you a California landlord or real estate investor who's tired of the increasing regulations, rent control laws, rising insurance costs, and higher taxes? What if I told you there would be a better way to sell your investment property, defer your capital gains taxes, and reinvest in Arizona real estate through a powerful strategy called a 1031 exchange? Today, I'm joined by my wife, Lynn McRae Woodson, CPA, who has decades of experience helping clients navigate tax planning and investment strategies. If you're thinking about selling investment property in California or another state and relocating those assets to Arizona, this is a video you won't want to miss. We have Lynn McRae Woodson here. Lynn, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
So Lynn, what we'd like to do is I've got some questions that I would like to cover with you, understanding the 1031 exchange. And we have many clients that are always wondering the ins and outs of a 1031 exchange. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is a 1031 exchange?
Well, a 1031 exchange helps a client save significant tax dollars and defer taxes on investment property that have built-in gains. So it's a tax strategy that allows for you to move from one investment property into a new investment property.
So Lynn, let me ask you this. Who can use a 1031 exchange?
Anyone that has an investment property, whether that's property that's rented or property held like land, those are both eligible for what's called a like-kind exchange.
Can you explain the difference between an investment property and a primary residence?
Well, that's a very important distinguishment because a primary residence is not eligible for a 1031 exchange. So that's the main difference. There's a different tax code that relates to primary residence under Code Section 121. And won't get into that because our topic is 1031. So 1031 properties specifically are our investment properties.
And what happens if someone simply sells their investment property without a 1031 exchange?
Well, the fact becomes taxation. So the capital gain, so if you had a property that appreciated over time, that appreciation will become taxable. If you rented it, you'll have potential recapture, what's called Section 1245, and that's ordinary income, that's expensive. You have Section 1250 realty, that's capital gain taxation under Section 1231. So there's a lot of code sections that kick in. But they all have different tax implications, and if you do not 1031 exchange an investment property, you're facing taxes.
And how much money could someone potentially save by doing a 1031 exchange?
Well, that's a great question because it can come into the easy 10,000s to maybe the hundreds of thousands. Again, it goes back to how much built-in gain. So if you bought a property for $200,000 and your property appreciated up to $1 million, and that's not uncommon in California, you're looking at $800,000 of gain. I don't think it takes much for you to figure out how many taxes that would trigger.
Can you explain the 45-day identification rule?
Yes, that's an important question. Timing is everything with the 1031 exchange, and the 45-day rule applies to the date of sale. You have 45 days before the date of sale or 45 days after the date of sale of an investment property to identify what you would be selling or purchasing. So it's a replacement property. That 45-day rule is very important to not miss.
And what happens if someone misses these deadlines?
Then you have a taxable transaction and everything we just spoke about earlier becomes reality.
Okay, and can someone sell their investment property in California and buy, let's just say in Prescott or in another state using a 1031 exchange?
Absolutely, and it's starting to happen with a great frequency in my practice. So we're seeing California realty investment property owners leaving the state, and they're buying heavily in places like Arizona that are much more business friendly, especially with real estate, and other states that provide opportunities for ongoing appreciation and the maintaining of a deferred tax status.
And are there restrictions on the, let's just say, replacement property, what you can, exchanged into?
Yes, there are. So again, the word like kind is involved with 1031. So if you have a rental property, you can exchange it into another rental property. You can exchange it into multiple rental properties. If you have land that you're just holding as an investment property, you can 1031 exchange into a rental property or additional land. So there are some limitations. You can't just buy a car or do any kind of 1031 exchange with what we call intangible assets.
So Lynn, let me ask you this. What does a like-kind property mean? Because I get this question all the time. Clients want to buy vacant land, invest in a vacation home. So what is a like-kind property?
A like-kind property is real estate that is similar, hence the word like-kind. So if you have a residential rental, you can buy another residential rental for replacement property. You could also buy a multi-resident. You could also buy investment land and then build on that land and have units that you could sell or just hold that investment. So those are the various like-kind properties that 1031 exchange cover.
So Lynn, can someone receive cash and still complete a 1031 exchange? I get this question all the time.
Yes, you can receive cash, but you're going to be facing taxation. And that's a percentage. Again, if we have a gain and you take some of that gain in cash, or they use the word boot, that will trigger some taxation. Not the entire amount, but a ratable share of the gain. So you have to be careful, and I highly recommend that you talk to your tax professional before you make those decisions so you really know what you're looking at.
Can someone exchange into multiple properties?
Absolutely. No, it's very common. You could sell a very expensive property that was a rental in California and then go buy 3 different property replacement. As long as the replacement properties in total equal or exceed the sales price of the original property sold.
Okay, great information. So let me ask you this. Can someone combine a few of their investment properties and put it all into one investment property?
Yes, of course, you can go the other direction. Like you could have, you could sell multiple realty that were all investment properties, rentals, let's say, and then buy one large rental, like a large commercial realty property. And as long, again, as we follow that formula where what you're selling in total sales costs is what you're investing in your replacement property.
Should people contact their CPA before listing any of their properties?
Absolutely. It's vital that you're not only working with a professional realtor, but with a professional tax advisor and a qualified intermediary who does 1031 exchanges as a profession, and their expertise is there. There's a lot of, little items or not so little items that you must follow the rules on, and that's why professionals being involved are really a must.
That comes to my next question. I think you might have answered that right now, but who else should be part of a successful 1031 exchange?
Your realtor, a qualified intermediary exchange accommodator. I would go with a tax professional, of course, and I rely on those professionals to really help make sure your transaction does not become disqualified or that you miss an incredibly important timeline. And your professionals will ensure to guarantee that process not only goes smoothly, but that you're meeting all the guidance, the tax laws and regulations.
And what are the biggest mistakes that you see your investors make?
Not using a qualified intermediary, number one. The second would be not listening to professionals and getting them involved before you begin any transaction. Those are really big mistakes because what happens is timing. You miss that 45-day window, you miss the 180-day window, which we didn't mention. That 180 days means you have to close on your new property. So if you're looking at new construction, you have to be aware of these timing issues. So again, I highly recommend follow along this amazing tax opportunity, but do so with professionals at your side.
And Lynn, what advice would you give someone relocating their investment properties from California or another state here to Arizona?
Well, my advice would be that California has really become a complex environment for realty ownership, and not to mention escalating regulations and costs associated. And I think that it's a wise tax strategy to move your realty elsewhere. You want to work with a realtor, so again, you have someone who can help you with the management of your realty. In another state, Arizona is amazing. I have property here in Arizona, and the beauty of it is this incredible cost savings with property taxes, insurance, regulations. Landlords here are not discriminated against. It's just a better environment for real estate investment.
And speaking of the environment in California, you talk to a lot of your clients, and what are some of the main reasons that they just get fed up and they're wanting to say, hey, I'm out of here? Can you share with me what the top maybe few things are that are either government regulations or what's happening?
Well, there's legislatively been laws passed since post-COVID that have been very anti-landowner. And it's also created an environment where you can't even remove tenants without costly fees related to attorneys and courts, and a very slow process to move them out while you're making zero rent. That's a disaster in my eyes. Cash flow is everything with any kind of investment you ever make. And if you're going to do something with real estate, you want to use it with intelligence, right? So go where your investment is looked at more positively. And the cost of operations with insurance and property taxes have just skyrocketed in California. Homeowners associations have doubled and tripled. So you're really seeing escalating costs that are out of our control. And it's a wise consideration to take your realty and find it in a location that's much more busy friendly, lower operational costs with insurance and property taxes, etc.
What questions should people ask their CPA before selling their investment properties?
When you sit down with your CPA, share with them what your thoughts are and your plans, and let them assist you in understanding the benefit of a 1031 exchange. You can evaluate the tax savings, and you can evaluate the operational cost savings as you move realty out of the state. And I spend a lot of my time doing this with a lot of my client base right now. So again, back to I think what's critical is before you actually get involved in a real estate sale, talk to me. Get your CPA involved, get your broker involved, and let us help you guide you through the tax strategies that could save you tens of thousands of dollars.
If viewers remember only one thing from today's interview, what should it be?
There's so many points, but it's tax savings, baby. That's all I got to say.
Well, great. Well, Lynn, thank you for your interview today, and we really appreciate your time, and we look forward to speaking with you again.
Great. Make it a great one.
If you're thinking about selling investment property and wanting to learn more whether a 1031 exchange into Arizona makes sense, we'd love to help. Lynn can help you understand the tax implications, and I can help identify replacement properties and investment property opportunities throughout Arizona. We'd love to help.